Now that we've got a better idea of what we're going to build, we're going to spend this video to set up our application and also talk about some distinct challenges that we're going to run into. So to get started, I'm going to flip on over to my terminal. Now you'll notice that I've already changed back to a workspace directory of sorts. Inside of my workspace directory, I'm not going to generate a new React project right away. We're going to eventually have a couple of sub-projects inside of a single directory. We're going to have separate project folders for the React application, for our RTMP server, and for the API server that lists the different streams that are available as well. So we're going to have separate project directories for each of these. With that in mind, I'm going to first begin by creating a new directory called streams. That's going to be the general name of this application. I'll then change into that directory, and then inside of here, I'm going to generate my new React application by saying create React app, and I'm going to give this project a name of simply client, because it is the client portion or the browser portion of our streams application. Okay, so I'll let that do its thing, and while that runs, we'll talk about some of the big challenges that we're going to run into with this application. All right, so here's the big challenges. Now, some of these we already touched on very briefly in the last video. First off, we need to be able to understand how to navigate a user around to separate pages inside of React application. To do this, we're going to use a library called React Router. So we're going to very quickly install React Router as a dependency to our project and understand some of the rules behind it to essentially allow a user to see different screens inside of our application. Next up, we need to be able to allow a user to log in and log out of our application. To handle authentication, we're going to be making use of Google OAuth. So if you've ever seen that button that says something like sign in with Google, yeah, that's exactly what we're going to build. Next up, we need to be able to understand how to handle forms in Redux. Now, we've already seen how to handle simple text inputs inside of React, and we've seen how to put a form together. But when we start making use of Redux, the techniques that we use to generate a form that a user can enter stuff into is going to change ever so slightly. So we're going to spend a pretty good amount of time to understand exactly how forms are created in Redux. Now, speaking of forms, what we really are trying to do at the end of the day with this application, besides learning about navigation and authentication, what we're really doing here is trying to master CRUD operations. Now, CRUD right here is an acronym. It stands for Create, Read, Update, Destroy. These terms right here are talking about different operations that we might do on records inside of a web application. So inside of typical web applications, we have the ability to create records. We have the ability to read. We have the ability to update and destroy as well. And that's what we're really doing here with these stream objects, with these stream things that we're trying to show on the screen. So remember, we've got this list of streams right here, and then we can create a stream, we can edit a stream, and we can delete it. So that's the real core of this application. All this stuff around handling streaming and video, those are, at the end of the day, total side topics, okay? I want you to understand that right now. The real goal of this application is to make sure that you master CRUD operations. Because the vast majority of web apps out there, like just about every app you can possibly think of, at the end of the day, to some degree, can be simplified down to a CRUD type application. For example, Airbnb, it lists records out. It lists out records that you can book for housing. So that needs a user to be able to create a listing. A user needs to be able to read or view a listing. We need to be able to update a listing and destroy a listing as well. Now, of course, Airbnb has a tremendous amount of other functionality behind it, but some of the absolute core operation of that application is this CRUD stuff. Same thing with, say, eBay.com, same thing with an email client, same thing with just about any application you can imagine. It all comes down to these CRUD operations. So the real goal of this application is to make sure that you really understand these techniques extremely, extremely well. Okay, so now the last big thing that might be a challenge inside this application, we're probably going to run into errors at some point in time. Like a user might type in the name of a stream that already exists, or they might not type in any name to the stream whatsoever. Or we might fail to load up video from a stream. It's incredibly likely along all stages of this application that we will run into some type of error. And so we want to make sure that we have some general error handling system inside the Redux side of our app. And then we can show error messages to our users as well. Okay, so that's going to be some of the big topics that we're going to cover inside this application. So let's take a quick pause right here. It looks like my install is completed. So take a quick pause. When we come back to the next video, we're going to start talking about our big first topic right here, handling navigation. Well, actually, you know what? I take that back. We're going to do a little bit of quick setup, and then we'll start talking about navigation. So quick pause, and I'll see you in just a minute.